as well, obviously in the other libraries that you've got. They're that well recorded that you can actually, they're very flexible drum sounds. One sort of little interesting aspect about all this, we actually, when we were doing the Accept album, because of where everyone was living, we had people in Philadelphia and Wolf in Nashville, and the drummer Stefan was in Zurich. It was very difficult for everyone to communicate and get together and rehearse. We cottoned on to what Easy Drummer was all about, and it became very easy just sending MIDI files backwards and forwards on the internet, and just literally being able to load the MIDI files into sessions, stereo WAV of the guitars, and we'd all have the songs, in different corners of the country within a matter of minutes. And I really, I can't express how easy Easy Drummer is. It made the whole thing very practical. Gave some great ideas actually. When you have to sit in a room and jam with a musician, at 125 dB, sometimes that isn't, although you can get a good feel out of it. I think actually just sitting down and being able to write and piece things together and then jam the songs is quite a nice way to go, and it's a luxury that we didn't have sort of 10, 15 years ago. So yes, it's another string to your bow really. So it was a really flexible way of sending ideas around, and those guys, weren't actually that good at programming drums, and we hadn't even got into dragging the MIDI in by this stage. We just thought, oh look, kicks there, kicks there, it's like, yeah, that'll do. And once we realised, the flexibility of it and the loops that were there with it, it was great. We were off. It was the songs flying all over the place. So no, it was great. It worked out really well. And I mean, some of the demos that we actually recorded just at Wolf's house, just using Easy Drummer, sounded absolutely killer.
And it's working on the reverb, so he's messing with the chamber.
Really, I mean, you always, when you start a session, you've got, you're just trying to get you've got an idea of how the drums should sound, depending on the band, especially if I've worked with the band before in that genre of music, I'm not really thinking about samples when I start the session, but it's really, just trying to get the best sounds you can, and the player can dictate that as well. You can get two different players on the guitar and it'll sound totally different. It's the same with the drummer as well, depending on how they hit it and how they approach the playing. So no, I don't really. I'm not really at the very start of a session thinking about samples. It sort of builds as you go on, really. But you've always got that backbone. If you can get a great, clear drum sound to start off with, everything nicely tuned, the clarity there, then you've got a basis to work from then. And you usually don't start throwing samples in until sort of mix stage or sort of halfway through the tracking. So you usually track into a pretty basic drum kit to start off with. I think the problem that I'm hearing with a lot of music these days, kids are tending to write. They always have. I'm not just saying about kids that are coming up now, but there's always been where you're trying to play above what you can actually play, and I think you just got to practice. You just got to try and nail it, and the same with production as well. It's really only experience that will give you the lessons of knowing how to deal with things. It's not. I see it on my forum. You've got kids who are they're using Cubase and pod presets and impulsors and all this, and it's all well and good being able to sit there and do your own stuff, but when you're dealing with other musicians and you're in situations with budgets and deadlines and where things aren't going according to plan, or you're having to fix something that's gone wrong before, that's where the talent starts coming in, and it's where you're having to pull from that all that experience that you've gained. I think where I was 15 years ago when I first started working out in America, and I thought I was hot shit back then, and I look back now and it's so naive to what was going on, and I'm still learning now. So the really you can never stop learning with this, and I think experience is the key. And I don't particularly think any of these sort of colleges or schools, although you'll learn the basics and the fundamentals of recording, it's not going to teach the experience. I think you need to get out there. You need, if you can't get work at a local studio, you need to start demoing stuff yourself. You need to talk to local bands, get a small setup and go out and record them, and just try and get a foot in and get used to it. I think a lot of the what people equate as a digital sound is a lot of the, you know, almost the presets you get in now, you know, although that's kind of what we've been doing here. I think the good thing about this is trying to get away from it sounding too artificial. You know, one thing we've spent the last 3 days doing is trying to make it sound realistic. And I think that's, you know, I think things are getting corrected too much. I think, you know, I call it, yeah, it's kind of, you know, what we've talked about, but there's this laptop metal syndrome, I think, where everything's very cut and paste. And I think people have got to start realizing not to overdo the programming, you know, things that are impossible to do, you know. I think it's important that as a band, you know, you should actually be playing the songs, you know. It's a good form of writing, putting ideas down, but I think it's got to gel as a band as well. I think, you know, musicians have got to remember to play together before they enter the studio. If you're looking for a couple of sort of heavier presets for the superior stuff, then check it out.